Well, hi everyone, and welcome to this short presentation on what to include in a policy and how to use it. My name's James, I'm the creator at Easy Fleeter, and I thought that this would be helpful to those of you who want to create your own company policies and really improve standards of road safety and efficiency. So as I say, it's just a short presentation, but hopefully it'll be helpful to you. But we're going to start with the question that I get asked a lot. How do you actually write a policy? You've got a blank sheet of paper or a blank laptop. Where do you start? Well, the first and most important thing is you need to think about what you want your policy to achieve. What's the objective? What are you trying to do? Once you've got that in your head, write it down and then use that as the basis for writing your policy. When you begin writing the policy, you'll need to consider how you actually work, how your staff and drivers work and how they are effective during their day. Because a policy can sometimes develop your working practices and perhaps refine them a bit further. Will your policy fit with other company policies? And that's quite an important one, particularly when you have a larger company with other departments, maybe within HR or within a dedicated health and safety department. Is there consideration for how it works with other corporate policies? That's a very important one. If you ask a colleague or employee to produce the policy, are you sure that they know what they're doing? Do they have the right experience? Are they just going to say yes? Or are you confident that they have the experience to say yes? And if you haven't got the experience within the company, then we can help. But that's your starting point. You need to work out whether the person actually writing the policy knows what they're doing. And importantly, will your staff and or drivers understand the policy? Too many times it's written with many, many words, and the person writing the policy forgets all about the end user. What the objective is to get change and to make sure that the staff that you have understand what you're trying to do. And will it be effective? So it's all well and good writing the policy, but will it actually bring about change within your company? It's very important because a policy actually forms the basis of change within a company, of improvements. There are four important parts to a policy that we have produced and that we've defined in quite a basic way, but a fundamental way. And the first is, what is it? So what is the policy? Why is it needed? You need to really put it in context. So when you're starting to write the policy, again, write down why are you writing the policy? What do you want it to achieve? And actually make it personal. So talk about the people that it's going to affect, the people that's going to be involved, and if you've got certain working processes, highlight those as well. Who does it affect? Clearly, the policy is designed for an end user, but actually along the way, there may be managers who are required to deliver the policy, to adhere to it themselves, or oversee it. And again, directors need to ideally sign the policy so that they've got sight of it and they take ownership. What's involved? So you need to detail what staff can expect. What do you actually want them to do? How should they conduct themselves as part of the policy? What equipment or PPE or provisions will you provide? That includes training as well. And what support will be offered by you as a company? Importantly, a policy is about collaboration. All too often, companies dictate to their staff about what they want them to do. But actually, if you start building in what you as a company commit to do, as well as what you expect your staff to do, it's a collaborative effort, and it actually makes more of an impact So your staff are more likely to read it and understand what you want from them. And finally, what's the anticipated outcome of this policy? So again, what are you hoping to achieve from it? How do you think things will change? And don't necessarily be vague about what you want to achieve. So for example, if you're looking to introduce a policy on overloading, the anticipated outcome is that you will reduce or eliminate the number of occasions that your vehicles are running overloaded. That's your objective and that's your outcome. How will things improve as a result of the policy? Again, that's something to consider when you're starting to write it. Importantly, a policy isn't a static document. It's something that you should use in day-to-day transport. Don't use it just as a tick box exercise. Ask your staff actually what they think. So during the writing process, consult with them and say, look, this is what we need to do. This is what we're trying to achieve. What do you think? Get their buy-in and get their support early, because then they're more likely to use it and understand the policy. Keep it brief. Too many times, companies and consultants write too many words and you end up with an 8 or 9 page policy document that your end user, be it staff, drivers, or anyone else, or contractors, they just won't take it in. So you have to keep it brief, to the point, but it must be effective. And make it accessible. So don't just produce a hard copy document. Provide an electronic copy, or indeed, if you have an intranet, make sure it's on there. Make it accessible to all staff, particularly those that are away from the company headquarters or the site, or perhaps they work remotely, or perhaps they're based from home. Make sure it's accessible to them. Keep the messages consistent within the policy. And again, that's something to consider when you're thinking about other company policies, perhaps within other departments. Is there a connection? Does it make sense? Are you actually collaborating with other departments and fitting with other corporate policies? Or is this just in isolation? Does it matter? Again, that's something you need to consider. Importantly, you need to use version control. Now, that's not just about ticking version number 1. It's also about putting a date on the document. So the 2 key points here are making sure you have a version 1, version 2, etc. And every time you update it, you change that version and reissue the policy. Make sure that everybody's got the latest version. And to support that, simply put a date. So for example, April 2021, and that's all you would need to do. And importantly, you need to review the policy regularly. Don't let it sit idle. Don't file it away. Make sure that it's still applicable and it still fits with your working practices at least every year. Now, if all that's a bit too much, we can actually help. The whole point of EasyFleeter is that we develop policies based on your requirement. And the way that we do it is we take your brief and we find out exactly what you need and who your users are, and we develop policies based on that criteria. We make sure, obviously, that the words are effective and we keep things brief and to the point. Typically, our policies are no more than 2 or 3 pages long. And we know that by doing that, we have created real-world improvements within our customers' base. Importantly, what you expect is what you'll deliver. So you tell us what you need, but actually that's only half the battle. We can provide you with a policy, but it's essential that you use it in a practical way. If you need help and guidance, we offer that free as part of the service. So if you want to check about how you should use the policy and disseminate it with your staff, feel free to get in touch. We focus on the end user, and I've emphasized that quite a lot in this short presentation, but it's important to remember that you're not just writing it for a client. or a contractor. You're actually writing it for your staff or drivers, and that's really important to remember. We can also produce procedures and supporting processes as part of the policy. So we can do a simple policy, or we can actually build it out so that we have a supporting process in place. It's entirely up to you what you need, and we'll listen to you and then obviously develop what you're after. So I hope that's been helpful. Those are my contact details if you want to get in touch. There will be more of these. I think they hopefully are quite effective. But for now, I'd like to thank you, and bye for now.